The story of how Jacob plotted with his mother to trick Esau takes place in the household of Isaac and Rebekah, the parents of both Esau and Jacob. Isaac, the son of Abraham and Sarah, was married to Rebekah, and they had twin sons, Esau and Jacob. Esau, the older of the two, was a skilled hunter and his father's favorite. Jacob, on the other hand, was quiet and stayed near the tents, and was his mother's favorite. As Isaac grew old and his eyesight began to fail, he decided it was time to bestow his blessing upon his eldest son, Esau. In ancient times, a father's blessing was not just a simple farewell but a significant event that included the transfer of leadership, inheritance rights, and divine favor. The blessing was traditionally given to the firstborn son, which in this case, was Esau. Isaac called Esau to him and asked him to go out into the fields to hunt game and prepare a meal for him. After eating, Isaac promised to give Esau his blessing. This request set the stage for the unfolding drama, as Rebekah overheard the conversation between Isaac and Esau. Rebekah had her own plan. She favored Jacob and wanted him to receive the blessing instead of Esau. She devised a plan to deceive her husband, Isaac, into blessing Jacob. Rebekah instructed Jacob to fetch 2 young goats from their flock so she could prepare a dish just the way Isaac liked it. Then, she planned to have Jacob present it to his father, pretending to be Esau. Jacob was initially hesitant. He was concerned that his father would recognize him and curse him instead of blessing him. Esau was hairy, while Jacob's skin was smooth. Rebekah assured Jacob that if there were any curse, it would fall upon her instead. She dressed Jacob in Esau's clothes and covered his hands and neck with goat skins to mimic Esau's hairy skin. With his mother's encouragement and preparation, Jacob went to his father. Isaac was immediately suspicious because the voice he heard was Jacob's, not Esau's. When Isaac asked how he managed to find the game so quickly, Jacob lied, claiming that God had granted him success. Isaac asked Jacob to come closer so he could touch him and be sure it was Esau. Feeling the goat skins, Isaac was convinced by the feel of Jacob's hands, but still doubtful, he asked, "Are you really my son Esau?" Jacob lied again, insisting that he was Esau. After eating the meal prepared by Rebekah, Isaac blessed Jacob, passing on God's promise given to Abraham. He declared that Jacob would be the Lord over his brothers and that nations would serve him. Just as Jacob left his father's presence, Esau returned from his hunt and prepared a meal for Isaac. When Esau entered Isaac's tent, he presented the food and asked for his father's blessing. Isaac trembled violently upon realizing the deception. He confirmed that he had already given the blessing to Jacob, and it would stand. Esau was heartbroken and begged his father for any remaining blessing. Isaac gave Esau a secondary blessing, which foretold a difficult life, living away from the richness of the earth and serving his brother. Esau's anguish turned into a deep-seated hatred for Jacob, and he resolved to kill his brother after their father's death. Rebekah learned of Esau's plan to kill Jacob and warned him to flee to her brother Laban's house in Haran until Esau's anger subsided. She convinced Isaac to send Jacob away by expressing her concern about Jacob marrying a local Canaanite woman, which was displeasing to her. This story is a vivid illustration of how deception and favoritism can fracture family relationships. Each character's actions were driven by their desires and fears, leading to long-term consequences. Isaac, his favoritism towards Esau and determination to bless him despite the prophecy given to Rebekah during her pregnancy, that the older would serve the younger, set the stage for the deception. Rebekah, her favoritism towards Jacob and willingness to deceive her husband demonstrated a lack of trust in God's plan, relying instead on her cunning to achieve her goals. Jacob, though initially hesitant, his compliance in the deception marked the beginning of a life characterized by conflict and struggle. Jacob's actions, driven by his desire for the blessing, led to years of estrangement from his family. Esau, his impulsive nature and previous decision to sell his birthright for a meal showed a lack of appreciation for his privileges. However, the loss of his father's blessing ignited a fierce resentment and desire for revenge. The story of Jacob and Esau offers several timeless lessons. 1. The consequences of deception. The immediate gain from deception often leads to long-term pain and conflict. Jacob's deception secured him the blessing but resulted in his exile and a strained relationship with his brother. 2. The dangers of favoritism. Favoritism within families can lead to division and conflict. Isaac and Rebekah's preferential treatment of their sons sowed seeds of discord and rivalry. 3. Trusting God's plan. Rebekah's intervention showed a lack of faith in God's promise that the older would serve the younger. Taking matters into our own hands rather than trusting in God's timing and methods can lead to unintended consequences. 4. Repentance and reconciliation. Although the immediate aftermath of the deception was conflict, Jacob and Esau eventually reconciled years later. This story reminds us that healing and forgiveness are possible, even after deep wounds. After fleeing from Esau, Jacob embarked on a journey that would shape his character and destiny. His time with Laban, his uncle, was filled with challenges and lessons. Jacob experienced deception himself when Laban tricked him into marrying Leah before Rachel, the woman he loved. Through these experiences, Jacob learned humility, perseverance, and reliance on God. Despite the deception and human failings, God's promise to Abraham was fulfilled through Jacob. He became the father of the 12 tribes of Israel, and through his lineage, the nation of Israel emerged. This story is a testament to God's sovereignty and ability to work through imperfect people to accomplish his purposes. The story of Jacob and Esau is a powerful narrative about family, faith, and the consequences of our choices. It challenges us to reflect on our own lives and relationships. Are we trusting God's plan, or are we taking matters into our own hands? Are we showing favoritism that could harm our family dynamics? Are we willing to seek forgiveness and reconciliation? In the end, the story reminds us that God can use even our mistakes to fulfill His greater purpose.